Have you ever wondered what would happen if Earth was half its size? Imagine a world lighter than the one we know, where gravity is less binding, offering both unprecedented opportunities and challenges. Picture an altered sky, where atmospheric changes, spurred by the reduced size of our planet, lead to a shift in weather patterns and climate. Ponder upon the stability or instability of our smaller Earth, where tectonic activity could be reduced, yet the planet's geology could be thrown into unforeseen seismic events. Visualize the rise of ocean levels and the changes that it would bring, with coastal regions vulnerable to flooding and erosion. Consider the biological impact, the disruption of ecosystems, the alteration of migration patterns, and the potential extinction of species unable to adapt. And lastly, think about us, the humans, and how our civilization would adapt to this new Earth, its infrastructure and resource distribution. So, are you ready to dive into this fascinating journey of a smaller Earth? Let's begin. Imagine waking up one day and feeling noticeably lighter. This is what it would be like living on a smaller Earth. Now let's explore this scenario a bit more. With half the mass, Earth's gravity would be significantly reduced. This could be a boon for space exploration. Imagine launching spaceships with much less fuel, or maybe even jumping high enough to dunk a basketball without needing the skills of a pro athlete. But this lighter existence wouldn't come without its challenges. Our bodies, which have evolved to function under Earth's current gravity, might struggle. Muscle and bone deterioration could become a common health issue. Think of it as a never-ending case of space sickness. And let's not forget our environment. The trees, the animals, the oceans, all evolved under our world's familiar pull. A sudden drop in gravity could throw entire ecosystems into chaos. So a lighter world could be a double-edged sword, making space travel easier but life on Earth more challenging. A smaller Earth would mean a different sky above us. With the planet's size reduced by half, our atmosphere would undergo striking changes. The gravitational force that holds our atmosphere in place would be significantly weakened, allowing lighter gases like hydrogen and helium to gradually escape into space. This escape of gases would lead to a shift in our atmospheric composition, potentially altering the very air we breathe. And with changes in atmospheric pressure, we could witness new weather patterns and shifts in our global climate. Imagine, if you will, a world where a gentle breeze feels like a gust, or where rain falls in a manner unlike anything we've seen before. We could have seasons that are drastically different from what we're accustomed to. The sky, as we know it, might look and behave quite differently on a smaller Earth. Tectonic activity, or the lack thereof, could change the face of our planet. Imagine a world with fewer earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, a possibility if Earth was half its size. The internal dynamics of our planet, including plate tectonics and volcanic activity, are partially driven by its size and mass. Therefore, a smaller Earth could potentially reduce these geological events. But don't get too comfortable just yet. While fewer earthquakes and volcanic eruptions might sound like a welcome change, it could also lead to unforeseen seismic events. The planet's geology could become destabilized as it adjusts to its new size. This could result in unexpected and perhaps more violent seismic activity. In other words, a smaller Earth might be a more stable environment with less tectonic activity. On the other hand, it could turn out to be a far more unpredictable world where geological events occur in new and unexpected ways. A smaller Earth might be more stable, or it could be far more unpredictable. With less space for oceans, water levels would rise. This is a rising concern that cannot be overlooked. A smaller Earth would mean less surface area to hold our vast oceans. As Earth shrinks, the water has nowhere to go but up, leading to a significant rise in sea levels. Imagine the world's coastlines, once bustling with life and activity, succumbing to the encroaching tides. Coastal regions, home to millions of people and diverse ecosystems, would be particularly vulnerable. Flooding would become a frequent occurrence, causing widespread displacement of people and wildlife. The infrastructure, painstakingly built over centuries, would be at risk of being washed away. In addition, the increased water levels would lead to heightened erosion, gradually eating away at the remaining land. Coastal cliffs would crumble and beaches would disappear, transforming our familiar landscapes into something unrecognizable. A smaller Earth could mean a wetter world with higher seas and less land. The question is, are we ready to face a world reshaped by water? A smaller Earth would pose a major challenge for the planet's biodiversity. Imagine a world where habitats shrink, forcing wildlife into ever closer quarters. Forests would dwindle, oceans would constrict, and the vast savannas would be no more. The reduction in space could lead to increased competition for resources, spurring a survival of the fittest scenario, with the most adaptable species thriving while others face extinction. Species unable to adapt to these dramatic changes would vanish, creating a domino effect through the food chain, potentially disrupting entire ecosystems. And it's not just the animals. Plant life too would face a similar struggle, with less land to root and grow. Migration patterns would shift drastically as animals seek out new territories to accommodate the changes. Imagine birds flying across more condensed continents or herds navigating a much smaller Serengeti. Life on a smaller Earth would be a struggle for survival, a test of adaptability. How would human civilization fare on a smaller Earth? This, indeed, is the million-dollar question. Infrastructure, as we know it, would be facing a monumental challenge. Skyscrapers, bridges, roads, and all the marvels of architecture designed for a larger planet might become obsolete or inadequate. Imagine the Golden Gate Bridge or the Eiffel Tower looking out of place in this new world. But the challenges don't stop there. With a smaller landmass, resources would become scarce, leading to potential conflicts over what remains. Competition for dwindling land, water, and natural resources could potentially spark tensions and even wars. And yet, despite these challenges, humanity's capacity for adaptation should not be underestimated. We've survived and thrived through ice ages, droughts, and pandemics. In these circumstances, we would need to harness the best of our innovation, cooperation, and resilience. Because on a smaller Earth, human civilization would need to adapt or perish. So, what have we learned from this journey into a smaller Earth? We've ventured through a world with decreased gravity, which could both ease space travel and pose health risks. We've gazed at a different sky, potentially losing lighter gases from our atmosphere, altering weather patterns and climate. We've contemplated a potentially quieter yet unstable Earth with reduced tectonic activity but possible seismic surprises. We've navigated rising concerns about ocean levels with coastal regions at risk of flooding and erosion. We've grappled with the struggle for survival as ecosystems and biodiversity face disruption. And finally, we faced the reality of human civilization having to adapt to a world with less space and resources. Throughout this journey, we've seen just how interconnected our planet's size is with life as we know it. While it's fascinating to imagine a smaller Earth, it's clear that our planet's size is key to life as we know it.